Stars glittered faintly over the Gobi Desert as the Shenzhou-21 spacecraft stood poised on the launch pad at Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, its white body gleaming under the floodlights. For months, teams of engineers, technicians, and scientists had worked tirelessly for this moment, each wire and bolt carrying the weight of years of preparation and the dreams of an entire nation. In the pre-dawn chill, the three-member crew stood inside the crew quarters, suited up in their white and blue pressure suits. Commander Liu Zhiyang, a veteran taikonaut in his early 40s, checked his wrist displays calmly, his expression one of discipline and resolve. Beside him, flight engineer Zhang Yue, the youngest of the trio at 32, looked up at the mission patch stitched onto her arm, tracing it with her gloved finger. The third member, Medical Officer Chen Qiang, smiled faintly, his thoughts far away with his family watching the launch live from their small apartment in Chengdu. The countdown echoed through the control room as the final checks were confirmed. "All systems nominal," came the voice over the comms. Liu gave a firm nod, his voice steady as he replied, "Shenzhou-21 ready for launch." Outside, the rocket's engines began to rumble, flames licking at the desert sand as plumes of white smoke rose into the night. At 3:47 Beijing time, the command was given. The engines roared to life, and in a blinding flash, Shenzhou-21 lifted from the earth, streaking toward the stars. Inside, vibrations shook their seats, but their training held firm. Liu's voice rang out over the static, "We have liftoff." As China's 21st crewed space mission surged through the dark sky. Minutes later, the first stage separated, tumbling back toward the desert, while the second stage fired, carrying them higher into orbit. Through the small circular window, Zhang caught her first view of Earth's curvature, a brilliant blue sphere fading into the blackness of space. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. Liu smiled, remembering his first flight years ago and the same words he had once said. As they reached orbit, the onboard systems confirmed stabilization, and the rocket's rumble gave way to the silence of weightlessness. Straps floated lightly, and droplets of condensation hovered in the air like tiny pearls. "Shenzhou-21, you are in orbit." "Congratulations," came Mission Control's voice. The crew cheered quietly, their gloved hands bumping together in a slow-motion high-five. Their destination was Tiangong, China's permanent space station orbiting 400 kilometers above Earth. Built through years of modular assembly, it had become a symbol of national pride and scientific ambition, a home among the stars. The station's robotic arms and shining solar arrays gleamed in sunlight, orbiting once every 90 minutes. The crew's mission was to deliver supplies, conduct experiments, and rotate with the previous crew stationed onboard. It was more than a resupply mission, it was a continuation of China's growing presence in human spaceflight. 2 days after launch, the spacecraft approached Tiangong for docking. Through the viewport, the station appeared like a silver dragon gliding silently in the void. Commander Liu adjusted the control thrusters manually as they aligned with the docking port. Closing in. 10 meters. 5, 2, a soft metallic click echoed through the cabin as the systems locked. "Docking complete," Zhang announced, her voice trembling with pride. From Earth, applause erupted in the control room, faces lighting up with relief. Inside Tiangong, the previous crew awaited them with open arms. The hatch opened, and the two groups exchanged greetings, floating toward each other in slow motion. For a brief moment, laughter replaced the mechanical hum of life support systems. They shared tea pouches and stories, a simple tradition that connected the vast emptiness of space with the warmth of human connection. Over the following days, the new crew settled in. Zhang began her work in the experimental module, conducting tests on crystal growth in microgravity, while Chen monitored the effects of space radiation on plant cells. Liu spent hours checking systems, overseeing the transfer of cargo and maintenance of power modules. Each day aboard Tiangong followed a disciplined rhythm: wake-up calls transmitted from Earth, exercise routines to maintain muscle mass, and research sessions stretching into the artificial night. Yet between the lines of protocol, there were moments of quiet wonder. Zhang often floated to the observation dome, where Earth filled the view below, swirls of white clouds over deep oceans. She would whisper the names of cities as they passed beneath, as if greeting them from another world. Communication with Earth was frequent but brief. Families, friends, and scientists tuned in during the daily link-up. Chen's daughter once sent a drawing of a rocket with the words, "Come home soon, Daddy." written in bright red crayon. He pinned it beside his workstation, a reminder of why he was up there. On the 12th day, an unexpected alert sounded. A small fragment of orbital debris was projected to pass close to the station. The crew moved swiftly, sealing modules and preparing for possible impact. Distance decreasing, adjusting orbit, Liu instructed. The station's thrusters fired briefly, shifting their trajectory just enough. Moments later, the object passed safely by, visible as a fleeting glint on the camera feed. It was a reminder that space, though beautiful, remained dangerous. Weeks passed, and the mission's scientific goals continued smoothly. One experiment, involving liquid metal cooling systems, yielded groundbreaking data for future spacecraft design. The crew celebrated the success with floating packets of fruit juice, clinking them together like champagne glasses. To Tiangong, Liu toasted, and to the people who made it possible. As the Earth rotated below them, they witnessed sights that few humans ever would. The aurora borealis shimmering like green silk across the poles, lightning storms flickering over the Pacific, and the delicate line of dawn sweeping across continents. Zhang often recorded these moments for educational broadcasts back home, her calm voice narrating over the live video. This, she said once, is what unity and science can achieve when humanity looks upward. On the 40th day, preparations began for the previous crew's return to Earth. The handover was conducted with precision, data logs transferred, systems double-checked. Before departure, they all gathered for a final photograph, 6 figures suspended in weightless harmony, framed by the curved horizon of Earth. When the older crew sealed themselves inside the return capsule, there was a quiet silence among those remaining. The hatch closed, and Liu whispered, "Safe journey home." Minutes later, Shenzhou 20 undocked, drifting away until it became just a dot against the blackness. Life aboard continued with new experiments and scheduled maintenance. Days blended into one another, marked only by the passage of light and darkness outside. Yet the sense of purpose remained constant. Every sample collected, every observation logged, was a contribution to China's long-term vision, establishing a sustainable presence in space, paving the way for lunar bases and deep space missions to Mars. 3 months into the mission, it was time for the crew's own return. The station hummed quietly as they packed samples and personal belongings into the return module. Liu floated one last time to the observation dome, gazing down at Earth, a world alive with light, cloud, and motion. "No matter how far we go," he said softly, "this is still home." Zhang joined him, her eyes misting. "But maybe someday," she added, "we'll call another place home too." The undocking sequence began. Tiangong slowly drifted away, shrinking until it was just a silver glimmer in the distance. "Tiangong, thank you for your hospitality," Liu radioed with a smile. Re-entry was scheduled over the grasslands of Inner Mongolia, where recovery teams waited. As they hit the upper atmosphere, plasma flames surrounded the capsule, turning the windows orange. G-forces pressed them into their seats, but the systems held steady. The parachutes deployed, slowing their descent until the capsule touched down with a soft thud on the frozen ground. Outside, rescue crews rushed forward, waving flags and cheering. The hatch opened, and sunlight poured in. Liu was the first to emerge, waving to the cameras, followed by Zhang and Chen. Their faces were tired but radiant. "Mission complete," Liu reported, his voice breaking slightly with emotion. The crowd erupted into applause. Above them, a lone jet painted a white streak across the blue sky, as if marking the return of heroes. Back in Beijing, the footage replayed across news channels, watched by millions. Children pointed excitedly at the screen, dreaming of becoming Taikonauts. Scientists spoke proudly of the data brought back, while families quietly cried tears of relief. The Shenzhou-21 mission was not just a technological success, it was a story of courage, teamwork, and the unyielding human desire to explore. Weeks later, the crew attended a ceremony at the China Astronaut Research Center. They stood before an audience of engineers and officials, medals shining under the bright lights. "Every mission builds upon the last," Liu said in his speech. "Tiangong is not just a station, it's a stepping stone to the stars." Zhang spoke about the importance of education, encouraging young students to chase the unknown. Chen, always the quiet one, simply said, "When you look up at the night sky, remember that someone's looking back from there." As the applause filled the hall, the three exchanged glances, not of pride, but of understanding. They knew that their journey was only a chapter in something far greater. Beyond the auditorium, the evening sky darkened, and high above, Tiangong continued its silent orbit, circling Earth like a guardian of dreams. Its panels caught the sunlight and shimmered, a faint glint barely visible to the naked eye. But for those who knew where to look, it was there, proof that humanity's reach had extended just a little farther, that China's footsteps among the stars had only just begun. In the years that followed, the legacy of Shenzhou-21 inspired countless missions. Each crew carried forward the torch of exploration, connecting the Earth to the cosmos in ways that once seemed impossible. Children who watched that launch grew up to become engineers, scientists, and explorers, their imaginations lit by the fire that had once blazed in the Gobi sky. And somewhere deep in that vast expanse, Tiangong still drifted, steady, resilient, and full of life. The home among the stars that humankind built together, one launch, one dream, one heartbeat at a time.